What do fax machines, VHS players and telephone boxes all have in common? They're antiquated tech that would baffle Gen Z. But what is the relevance of this to cycling? Well, there's a piece of tech which I use all the time. I find it really useful and I love it. But shockingly to me, most pros are still using the antiquated version. So I've decided to make a video about it to show you, and the good news is loads of you already own this tech and don't even realise. So what is this antiquated piece of tech? The pacing note sticker. Now often this is written on a piece of masking tape and then stuck to the stem, and there's a number of big disadvantages to this. Firstly, you're limited as to how much you can fit on there. Now, it's quite hard to read a lot of the time. If it rains, good luck to you, and it just doesn't update with real-time information. Now, if you're the kind of person that loves Betamax and using a mini disc player, then, well, continue using your sticker for your pacing notes. That's great, but there is a much better way. This is my Wahoo Roam V2. There are many others like it, but this one is mine. Now, on this bad boy, there are a load of features that I feel people don't use. Speaking to my friends that cycle and when I ride with them, I feel that a lot of people only scratch the surface with what this can do. So we're currently in Tignes in the French Alps, which is ideal because not only does it look like that, it's also a place that I haven't ridden much before and I'm not very familiar with the climbs. So rather than just stand here and waffle on about it, let's go for a ride and I'll show you what this can do. Let's go. So the first thing I've done is create a route in Strava, and then I've fired that on to the Wahoo using the ELEMNT app. And for most people, that's where it ends. But you can do so much more. So I've enabled something called Summit Segments in the app, which means that whenever I approach a climb on my route, the Wahoo automatically detects it and it tells me that the climb is coming. And then when I'm on the climb, a screen fires up which gives me the details of the climb. It's fully customized with all the stats I want on there, and it helps me pace the climb. The reason I find this so useful is because it gives you the gradient profile of the climb and the length, and based on how fast you're riding, your estimated completion time. So it's ideal for pacing it to perfection. It's something that I've used in Gran Fondos and events, and it really helps you go faster because you want to invest more power, more effort when the road is steeper. And so, for example, on this climb, I can see that, well, this is a particularly steep bit, but it's going to level off in a minute around this corner. And I've never ridden this climb before, and I wouldn't have known that. And I actually managed to get a PB on the Mortirolo Pass using this. But that's not all, because there's also custom alerts. And speaking to my friends, I don't think any of them realise you can do this, but it allows you to create really detailed pace notes onto a route. So you go in the app, you type in your custom alerts, you add them, and you can either choose to add them at time intervals, at calorie burned intervals, or at distance intervals on your route. Now, I'm just on a training cruise, an epic ride, just enjoying the scenery today. But if you're doing a big event or a race, these are invaluable because you can do things like remind yourself to have a drink or remind yourself to eat at regular intervals, which is easy to forget in the heat of the moment. And you can also point out key points on the route. So, if there's a tight hairpin coming up after a long straight on a descent, or if you're in a pro race and how you see the pros sometimes need to keep on the right side of a roundabout because the other side is much longer. And you often see them make this mistake, but if they had a note pop up saying roundabout approaching, keep right, well, they'd be all right, wouldn't they? So this is the Col de l'Isran, the highest paved road in Europe. This bad boy is 2,700 and I think 64 meters, although the sign says 270 at the top. And having a live summit segment come up on a climb like this is super valuable because most of us don't have the luxury of riding this climb regularly or a climb like this. And so we don't know it super well. And so when you come here, having all of the different gradients and clearly being able to see the profile as you go up in real time is really good, because say if you're on a steeper bit and you're finding it quite hard, you can see, like right now, this steep bit doesn't last forever. In about 500 meters, it's going to level off into a much easier bit. And that's just so useful psychologically. I mean, if you're trying to hang on to your friends or you're in a race and you're trying not to get dropped, and trust me, the struggle is real. That's me pretty much every ride. Then knowing that there's a bit where it's going to level off, and if you can just hang on to that bit, it's tactically so advantageous. I feel like Andy Hampstead in the Giro d'Italia back in the 80s. This is absolutely epic. But thankfully, clothing technology's moved on quite a bit since the 80s, so I'm nice and warm. Thanks, Wahoo. I'm at the top of the Isran now, and it's amazing, but the snow is really coming in. It's June. Why is it snowing in June? But I've got good clothing, and highlights another good feature. I'm going to put the mapping screen on, and that way it's sort of like a computer game. I can see when the turns are coming, even when the visibility is so poor. Useful feature to have in a situation like this. Let's go down. What if you're in a new area and you just want to go for an explore and perhaps you don't have time to make a route? Well, I've done that as well. Often when I'm on shoots for GCN, I take my bike and try and fit in a ride in and around the shooting, and even without a route put into the device. And the way you enable that is just put the Summit Free Ride segment feature enabled in the app, and it will automatically detect climbs even if you've not got a pre-programmed route. Pretty clever, and it's very good because, well, if you're just exploring an area, it tells you what you're potentially getting yourself in for. So there you have it, using virtual pacing notes to augment your ride. And I should point out this is available on the Roam V2 I've got here, and also the Bolt V2. And I should stress that I don't use this on every single ride. Sometimes I like to just cruise around and not have, you know, the data and not have this stuff flashing up. But in certain situations, I find it incredibly useful, and it's really helped me out. So let us know your thoughts and questions down below. And well, I'm going to enjoy a cannelé now, an elite choice in French patisserie. Love you. Bye.